Okay. So, that is done. Now, okay, YouTube. It says we're live.
I
It's
think you have to click go live because I'm not seeing anything under your videos
Are you
right
sure?
now. Oh, actually, it might be.
No,
Yeah, it
I think
is.
we're
It
live,
is.
bro.
Yeah, it is live. It says we're live. There's one like and one person watching.
Okay.
Someone
Um
said hello. The hockey kid. Hello.
okay, cool. Cool, cool, cool. Awesome. Now all we need is for people to tell us um if everything sounds good. And look at these beautiful Converse shoes that are on the screen. Guys, listen. I'm here with the look, somebody already said Steve's signing reaction. So they do want our reaction to this.
You can put that in the title.
Leaf signed Steve's. Big, huge news. Apparently everything sounds great. Awesome. Um I guess we should acknowledge the fact that the best Leaf YouTuber, DTSB, has graced our presence today.
I'm not the best Maple Leafs YouTuber.
Hey, I'm throwing it out there.
Everybody has their own guys that they like to watch and stuff like that. I would. We're we're both doing good jobs.
The number one guy in the world I'm currently stealing for a stream. Go
The guy
Engvall.
who was supposed to stream today and was too tired to do it is now piggybacking off. Yeah.
Oh, whatever, bro. You were Abby says, I can hear you from the other room. Love watching you both and Steve Dangle. Imagine if that was the real Freddy the Goat. Do you see that comment? Um,
I know.
is that Andrew's girlfriend? What? Where?
I think he's talking about Abby.
Bro, that's my sister, my guy. Come on, my guy. What are you saying? Um, all right, so I guess we should wait a little bit. How many viewers? Does it say we have 37 or something?
39 now. I'm seeing.
Okay. We can definitely do better than that. We'll just have to wait a little bit. I've noticed that YouTube is not um like kicking out notifications as much. Like they're not sending out notifications, which is very sad. Because the other day I did one like at almost at the exact same time, and it was like 50 people right off the bat, and then I had somebody tell me that um notifications aren't being sent out. Maybe put this on your community tab as well if you haven't,
Yeah, yeah, sure. I
just
can
so that
I can
way people
definitely
know
do
that
that.
you're live technically but on another channel. Um People know that. Hmm, let's just I'm going to tweet it out as well, guys. Don't worry, we're going to be talking about some stuff in a second. We just want people to be notified. We're
Very
just
sorry about the loud keys. It's a mechanical keyboard.
Oh, what, mine?
No, mine.
Oh, mine are also the same thing. I think we both just did the same thing at the exact same time. Unless maybe you can't hear mine. I don't know, but okay, let's use the quick little Leafs forever. All right, boom. That's been tweeted out. We also didn't plan this, so that's probably not the greatest thing, but um, you know, it's just fun to get on here. You got mine? Okay, good. People that are getting notifications.
Downtown, how many jerseys you got? I have, okay, so I don't even have all of them right now, but they literally wrap all the way around the basement. I have about 20 of them. I just purchased the most expensive one that I have in my collection yesterday. Um, not too comfortable sharing how much I paid for it, but they're from all different eras. They're pro models, team issued, game issued. A couple of them are game worn.
This guy.
There's maybe about 15 or 20 of them or so. I haven't paid for any of them too. They're all paid for, free. No money out of my own pocket.
All right. Well, even if there was 10 people in here, we can still start talking, because also for the people that are in here, we will probably be doing this more often. It's just there's a good chance it's going to be promoted a lot better than just us just firing up. But I just was like, I'm going to go live. I sent a message over to the man, the myth, the legend, DTSB, and we were like, yo, let's just get this thing cooking. So we're just going to talk about some rumors and just some stuff that we've been wanting to talk about. And again, there's going to be more of this style of content in terms of videos as well. So go subscribe to Downtown Sports if you haven't, which I'm sure you do. But if you haven't, make sure to go do that. And yeah, we're going to get this going. There's probably going to be streams on his as well that I might hop into at one point as well. So
yeah, of course. You're always invited over.
Well, I appreciate that, good sir. Excuse me. Joe said you should start a Discord for the community. Honestly, that'd be pretty dope if we could get a Discord going for all like Leaf fans that watch the channel, for both of us.
Yeah, that would be pretty insane and stuff like that. I'm always down to talk with whoever is wanting to, basically.
And Joe said he could help, which is very cool. Joe, we might have to contact you about that. Oh my god. Abby's comments. Anaheim's.
I appreciate that.
Anaheim's Rickard Rakell needs help off the ice after accidental collision with a falling Kyle Clifford. That's interesting.
If he's listen, I hope that he's okay. Hope that he has a full recovery with whatever that is. But at least we can stop talking about him as an option.
I guess now, that
I don't think. Is this where we're starting the stream? You brought it up.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, I don't think that Rickard Rakell is an option for the Toronto Maple Leafs just because of the astronomical asking price that the Ducks have. He's got a good contract. He's a good player. It's just I'm not giving up a top prospect for him. The guys that I am willing to give up a top prospect for are better than him. We should try to shoot higher than Rickard Rakell.
Right. I definitely agree with that as well. I some of the, like, what was the asking price? It was like a top prospect. I seen some people saying it was also including a first round pick, which to me seems steep as hell. But
I think it was a James Myrtle article in The Athletic suggested that the Maple Leafs would offer a first round pick, Rodion Amirov, and someone else, but that the Ducks should ask for Nick Robertson or Rasmus Sandin
on top of Amirov.
No, instead of him. So Sandin and a first, or Robertson and a first, and it's just like that's absolutely insane. That's
way too much.
No.
I definitely would trade for Rakell if the price was lower than that. Like, I would think it would be like a first round pick and like a Hallander type prospect. You know what I mean? Like, Hallander's good, but like I wouldn't put him in that top tier. You know what I mean? So again, we're Leaf fans though, and this is where it's like I try to separate. Like, I try to separate being a Leafs fan and like look at the entire league and like try to see like from the other side like what teams would want. But it's like there's also a middle ground here where you have to understand that there's like a ridiculous asking price for this guy, and the Leafs shouldn't have to give up a top prospect, a first round pick, and an additional piece for a guy that isn't gonna like be the guy that pushes you way over the top. Like, I don't think Rakell makes the Leafs an instant cup favorite type of move. And when you give up a package like that, you would think that's what you're getting in return.
If you're giving up a first round pick and a prospect like that, I want Philip Forsberg or Thomas Hertl. And if you're not getting those guys, then I just don't give that up.
Right. Yeah.
That's just what it is. Like, I'm not even, if it takes more than a Amirov and a first to get one of Forsberg or Hertl, I'm okay with adding a little bit more. or maybe I'm not. I don't know. I haven't really looked too much into it, but if the asking price is a little bit higher, I would rather pay the higher asking price for those guys than settle on Ricard Raquel.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
And we definitely will get to Ekholm, I'm sure.
Yeah, Ekholm is definitely something because we just briefly talked about something before we started this up that could create a whole different conversation. But I'm actually curious to see in the comment section or the chat right now, um, who do you guys think the Leafs are in on? Like, just in your personal opinion from what you've heard or what you want, who do you think the Leafs are currently in on or you want us to talk about? And I'm curious to see some of the names in here because there might be some interesting ones depending on who they're listening to.
But before we do talk about any of those names, I'm seeing about 100 people in here right now and only 18 likes on the stream. I think Andrew deserves a little bit more likes here. If not, definitely not for me, but Andrew definitely does deserve
For
those
both
likes
of us,
we
for both of us, this is both of
going
us
here.
in here. This guy's too nice. You know what I mean? But thank you for okay, the likes are going up. I appreciate that.
I appreciate all you guys.
Somebody said Connor McDavid.
Sure.
Yeah, we'll get right on that. Palmieri. There's multiple. Oh, Nolan says Connor McDavid. Taylor Hall, Forsberg, Radek Faska, Crosby. Okay, guys. Okay, let's be no Crosbys or McDavid. Like, who do you think they actually are going after? Savard.
I am
Okay,
seeing a bunch of good names though.
Connor Garland. That was one that was brought up today by like Sportsnet or something like that. I think that package was a little too much, but
Yeah, I mean, it depends on how high you are on that uh, package or the proposed package that it would take to get a guy like Connor Garland. I think it was like a first round pick, Amirov and Nick Abruzze, which I mean, I'm Italian. I really want to see Nick Abruzze play for the Toronto Maple Leafs because I want as many good Italian boys as we possibly can get on the team, or just at least one, right?
yeah,
But it depends on how high you are on those prospects. There's a lot of people who project Rodion Amirov to be a top line talent, right? A guy who has a 200-foot game, a guy who can score goals and prevent them. And that's something that a lot of people talked about when they selected him. Oh, why didn't we take a defenseman? Well, they took a defensively minded forward,
yeah,
right? And Nick Abruzze is a center. And if you're looking at the Maple Leafs' center depth beyond Austin Matthews and John Tavares, it's not the greatest. And if you're looking at the prospects that they have that can play center, they don't really have a lot of those either. So it's just like, are you willing to add a guy like that in there? It's just like Connor Garland's really good. He's cheap. He's an RFA, but you have to consider the implications of acquiring a guy who has more than just this year of team control left on his deal right now because there's an expansion draft to go through.
yep.
So it's like you give up that price to get him, but then what are the implications of that? What happens afterwards?
True. Very true. The expansion draft, like, really, like, that's got to be obviously one of the bigger hurdles that Kyle Dubas and the Toronto Maple Leafs are trying to get over.
Well, I mean, if you want to talk about the expansion draft, we can pull up the cap friendly tool and just look at it.
Yeah, sure. We'll do a quick little another screen here.
And I am seeing some people look at like guys like Alex Iafallo, players on the Nashville Predators, whether that be Miguel Granlund or Eric Haula. Um, those guys are on teams right now that don't necessarily consider themselves out. Nashville put it out there that everyone was open or they were open to trading basically just about everyone on the roster, but they haven't necessarily committed to that. They said that they would let teams know what they were doing. And if they're not committed to it, see, it's like when someone is selling something and they don't have a price listed on it and they just say, make me an offer. They're just listening. They're just listening. They're not actually motivated to sell right now.
That's true. So this is the expansion draft. So this is what's been protected. We're seeing the forwards here that would be left exposed. Obviously, Zach Hyman being a UFA, they don't necessarily have to protect him. And DTSB here has explained that many times that would be Seattle's selection if they were to sign Zach Hyman in the window that they have before free agency actually opens. So I'm not really sure if that's the route they're going to go, and I don't believe Zach Hyman would want to do that. You know, you've got your defenseman here that you would probably be holding on to, which would
Is there a way? Is there a way, Andrew? Like if you can zoom out in Chrome,
Yeah,
just zoom out a little bit, and I think it'll put them side by side afterwards.
there we go. But
That's the Jets.
why did it switch teams?
Just scroll up a little bit to the Leafs.
There we go.
There we go.
Okay.
It's a little bit easier to see now.
Much easier. I just didn't know if it was too if the text was too small for the people watching. Yeah, and we'll look at some mock trades that DTSB and I will actually probably make with Cap Friendly, just because a lot of people are confused on how the Leafs can actually make a trade right now. Because
so, like,
it is possible.
What we're looking at right now is the options for the expansion draft, and when we're looking at players that the Maple Leafs can trade for, especially guys who have more than a year of team control beyond this season, you have to consider it. Like I was saying, you can either protect 7 forwards, 3 defensemen, and 1 goalie, or a mix of forwards and defensemen and 1 goalie. And if you're looking right now at the previous expansion draft, the Maple Leafs didn't have 3 or more defensemen worth protecting, but now they do. They got 4 guys that are worth protecting. So if you protect those 4 guys, the first option with 7 forwards is not an option already. So if you're protecting 4 defensemen, you're going to protect 4 forwards, and those are the 4 forwards that you're protecting. There's no argument. You're not protecting any of those 4 guys.
It's pretty self-explanatory why you're protecting those guys.
So then to look at who you would lose now, you're leaving Kerfoot unprotected, and if you're looking at the names of guys who are left unprotected right now, Kerfoot's the best guy there. So you lose Kerfoot in the expansion draft. If you acquire another forward, like a Thomas Schertl, like a Philip Forsberg, like a Connor Garland, you cannot select 8 forward and D. You can't select that option anymore because you need to be able to protect 5 forwards now. So then you would be going with 7 forwards, 3 defensemen, and 1 goalie, but then you'd be leaving one of those defensemen exposed. And between Jake Muzzin, TJ Brody, and Morgan Riley, it's Justin Hull. So if you're giving up assets in a trade for Connor Garland, you'd also more than likely be losing Justin Hull now in the expansion draft.
Yep.
And that's something that you have to consider. It's asset management. You can't just make the deal and not consider that.
Yeah,
he plays on the penalty kill. He plays top 4 minutes. He makes $2 million.
In a perfect world, I think the reason why this is what the protection is going to look like for the Maple Leafs is because they want their top 4 to be intact next year, regardless of if Morgan Riley is still in the fold. Like, this is something we don't need to talk about now, but in the offseason, like, I do believe the Leafs could look at a Morgan Riley for a different defenseman type of trade. Like, there might be a swap there. But regardless, let's just say hypothetically those top 4 stay intact. I think in a perfect world, the Leafs would want Sandin and Liljegren to be their bottom pair, or at least be in the mix with these guys. So I think that this is probably the reason why you protect these 4 guys, is because then you're basically guaranteed to have a pretty solid 6 going into next year with Travis Dermott. Like, if it's Dermott or Kerfoot, like, I'm guessing Kerfoot's getting taken. So then you would have Dermott as well in the fold, and who knows, maybe the Leafs bring back Bogosian for like extra depth next year. Who knows? Like, it's a possibility.
I'd be okay with that.
Yeah, like it's definitely a possibility, because then it would be Muzzin, Brody, Riley, Hall, Bogosian, Dermott, Liljegren, Sandin as like all NHL caliber defensemen. So
Same guys that they got this year, but another year of experience, another season of Sandin and Liljegren playing 25 minutes a night for the Toronto Marlies. You have
yeah,
to imagine that that puts them in front of Travis Dermott,
yeah,
right? You just have to imagine he hasn't taken the steps. He hasn't
yeah,
taken the steps.
for sure.
So as long as we understand that if we acquire a guy who has more than 1 year left on his deal or who is an RFA this year, we have to consider the implications that it has on this first, and then we can talk about those guys.
Right. So that's basically the background on like how tough it would be on the Maple Leafs to acquire a forward with more than a year left on their contract, which, there are a lot of options available still for trade that don't like you can still trade for a guy that has years on his deal, but this is why, you know, they have to be careful. Derek says he's not sold on Liljegren and Sandin playing next year. I don't think there's a world in which they don't get that opportunity because they've been working on Liljegren for a few years. And I mean, I think Sandin probably would have had a bigger shot to play on the bottom pairing had he not got hurt. Like, I honestly think that they were going to give him a shot swapping in and out with Dermott and see if he was a better option. So I think Sandin's essentially a lock. Like I can't see how he doesn't make the team next year.
Every single season that these guys have played in the American Hockey League, all they've done, both of them, is be the best defenseman at their age
Yeah.
in the American Hockey League over the last 20 years. Their
Yep.
individual years, looking by age, all they've done is be the best, or in the top 5, in the top 10.
Yeah.
And Sandin is the better of the two, but Liljegren's right behind him.
Yeah. Liljegren doesn't
Right
get enough
behind him.
credit. Yeah. Liljegren has been really, really good this year. And in the last year or so, I should say, he's developed quite a lot. I think a lot of people are going to be surprised with his game. I've just heard nothing but good things, especially from people that like actually watch the Marlies consistently. Like that's the type of person that I go and like take in their information. And they've been so high on Timothy Liljegren. So, I mean, that's only a good thing for us. Now, let's get back to this. Now, should I zoom in, or do you think that this is probably okay?
You can probably zoom in a little bit.
Because I just want people to be able to see it properly. So people are probably looking at that negative cap space and having a heart attack right now.
The
But
cap space absolutely irrelevant. It doesn't calculate it properly in the armchair GM tool. In order to calculate it properly, we're gonna have to use the cap friendly trade machine tool,
yeah,
which will tell us the actual money in cap space in the context of what it is day to day, basically.
right. But yeah, this is how the team kind of shapes up right now. These lines.
Derek,
are...
I haven't had a whole bunch of time to respond to comments and stuff. I have seen your Phil Kessel comments. No, he can stay in sunny Arizona and do whatever he does there now.
Yeah.
Do whatever he does there now, he can continue to do that there.
Yeah. I mean, he had a hat trick last night.
Did he really?
Yeah, he
Good
scored
for
a hat
him.
trick.
Good for him.
I love Phil the Thrill.
Still don't want him.
Yeah. I you know what, we'll always love Phil Kessel. He never got enough credit for how good he actually was for Toronto. But I mean, that's not up for us to talk about, I guess.
So while you're organizing the lines there, I've seen a couple of people throw out names like Jamie Alexiak. I don't know. Did you want to talk about the defensemen first? Defensive options that the Maple Leafs could acquire, and then we can look at forwards?
Yep.
Because I think that we're on the same page. I think that most people are on the same page when they say that the Maple Leafs would be better off acquiring another defenseman as opposed to acquiring a forward.
Right.
And I think to understand the Jamie Alexiak thing, because I mentioned it in one of my videos, we should really take a look at the standings, because there's a whole bunch of teams that are on the bubble here that are going to need to make a decision. They're going to need to make a decision on what they are doing, because this year is going to be unlike any other season This is not going to be a season to sit on the fence. This is not a season, we're a couple of points out. Maybe we can try to go for it. No, there is none of that. You are a buyer or a seller at the deadline. You are not standing pat because of the money implications that it has. If the Edmonton Oilers are losing $80 million this season, the Nashville Predators can't afford to sit on the fence with players that they have. The Columbus Blue Jackets can't afford to sit on the fence with players that they have. The Dallas Stars can't afford to sit on the fence with players that they have, even though they have games in hand. They need to make a decision.
Yep.
And especially with the Dallas Stars, they have Miro Heiskanen to sign in the offseason.
Yeah, that's huge. The Dallas Stars definitely are in a little bit of a strap there. They're in a little bit of a pickle. But I brought up to you, we might as well just mention it now because we were on the point. But I brought up the fact that Nashville is right there. Like, it's one win and they're in a playoff position, right?
I mean, sure, if they want to believe that they're in it, but again, it's how are you going to justify it as a general manager to your owner sitting on the fence this year when they got guys like Mikael Granlund, Eric Haula are UFAs? Why should the owner pay those guys a salary for 4 weeks after the deadline when they have no shot in the playoffs? Like, I'm sorry, those two guys together, if you want to include Ekholm in that, that's almost $1 million in real money. It's almost $1 million in real money. How can you justify that as a general manager to your owner?
Yeah, but
maybe you make it out of the first round?
Okay,
There's
but that's
no
revenue.
shot. They have no shot at winning the Stanley Cup. None. The odds should be less than 1%, if that.
Yeah, but
How do you justify spending that money?
There's probably another side to this that needs to be talked about, and that's that okay, if you do make the playoffs and you do win a round, that's still revenue. Like, they can
It is.
Playoff revenue is insane. Like, you're making more money than like a regular season, obviously. But it's also like the message that you're sending to your fans, though. Like, what happens if Nashville is sitting still at the deadline, if them in Chicago are like neck and neck by 2 points, and then they just trade off everybody? What does it say to their fans that they're like, oh, we're right here, but like we have to just trade away like 3 or 4 talented players? You know what I mean?
It says that they're honest with themselves. The New York Rangers were honest with themselves,
but they weren't in this position though. They were worse than this.
Were they? I'm not going to recall the standings to when they put out the tweet with their letter to fans saying that I have no idea. But they were at least, like, they still had Matt Zuccarello. They still had Henrik Lundqvist. There were tears shed because that group was coming apart.
Yeah.
But it was just there was a mutual understanding there. And I understand the playoff revenue and the players' salaries. But beyond that, next season even, they need futures. They need futures.
But even if Nashville trades, let's just say they trade Ekholm and Granlund, right?
Mm-hmm.
The next season they still have a really talented group. Like, there's still a lot of really good players on that Nashville team. So what, they're just gonna sit on the fence again next season? I don't know. I'm the reason why we're talking about this, guys, is because this is something that I tried to mentioned before, was that I'm not sold that Nashville is just going to trade off Granlund or Ekholm at this point. Like now it's like the price would be even higher because, oh, well, we're right there. We don't really have to trade him. You know what I mean? Like, are they just going to be like, oh, the price just went up for one of these guys? Because and Elliot Friedman does it because he knows people will like try to extend the conversation, but he tweeted out, oh, Nashville is only 2 points out. So it's like everybody follows him for trade rumors and trade breaks and stuff like that. So now everybody is like, oh my God, so this means this guy's not available and this guy's not available. So now we have to think about other people. Like, he stirred the pot a little bit. He got the conversation going again. But I don't know. Nashville to me seems like such a really good trade partner for the Leafs. because I think that we can actually offer them something that they can utilize. Like we can give them the pieces that they want to still be competitive next season. So like it kind of it kind of goes a little bit with your point that like they can still get futures and still be a decent team next year. Like there's two sides to it.
For me, they would just be lying to themselves. If they're 2 points out of a playoff spot on trade deadline day, what are they 2 points away from? They're 2 points away from being in a playoff series with the Tampa Bay Lightning. Like, like what? Like what? The Tampa Bay Lightning are one of the best teams this season in like the last 30, 40 years, and they won the Stanley Cup last year. It's like you have no shot. You have no chance.
Well, we
If
said
you
that
want
about
the play,
Columbus.
if you want the playoff, we did, but at the same time, I wouldn't take that bet twice.
Yeah.
I would not. I would not take that bet twice. You are right though. You are right though.
Um,
But at the same time, I don't see it.
Jeepman89 says Friedman never gets anything right. I mean, he gets a lot right. You guys got to remember, there's a lot of people that give information to these guys, and sometimes that information isn't always correct. Like you have to remember, there is a middleman to this stuff. Like it's not always like they don't just call the player all the time and get the information straight from them. It's sometimes they're given information that just kind of cuts out. Like it doesn't end up, working out. Because I mean that's happened a bunch of times. Like everybody says things and then they don't get it right. I mean Freeman's broken a lot of different deals in the past.
Well, and it's the same thing like us. We're just going off of the information that we have, and the information that we have in front of us is telling us that this makes sense and that this doesn't. And the information that he gets is saying that, this makes sense and this doesn't, or this is more likely than this, and that's what he ends up saying.
Yeah. Okay, so people are asking about trades because of like specific players. And a name that keeps obviously popping up is Taylor Hall. I mean, I guess it's no secret that both you and I have talked about it. Everybody's talked about it. Like it seems like that's like the biggest name that is talked about. A lot of people don't think that the deal can happen. Like that the money just doesn't make sense. This is the first question that I would ask to not just you, but to the people watching. Would you trade Kerfoot in that deal to make the money make more sense? Like, do you think that actually is a possibility in this? Because if the Leafs want Robertson or somebody else to play, if they believe that they're ready to play, and then you acquire a Taylor Hall, is losing a Kerfoot to soften the trade value worth it? Like I don't know. To me I don't want to lose Kerfoot because I think he's played quite well. But I don't know.
I don't necessarily think that that's the question, because they definitely don't have to include Kerfoot in that trade. They don't even have to include Pierre Engvall in that trade. I worked it out in the video that I did on my channel the other day. They don't have to. The only thing that they would have to do is they would have to place Pierre Engvall on waivers. And if he gets claimed, he gets claimed. If he doesn't get claimed, it's going to cost them about 40 or 50 grand in salary cap space to keep him around from when you would acquire Taylor Hall. That depends on the date. It's all very, very specific.
Right.
If you want to pull up in a different tab the cap-friendly trade machine tool, the money situation is entirely possible. The asset situation is entirely possible because according to whoever you ask, the starting price is a first, and people believe that it's going to come down from that. They don't have to give up a lot. It's an option. It's an option to one of maybe a dozen or so that they have in front of them. Doesn't necessarily mean that we're saying that that's the best option. It is an option, though. Engvall
Right.
would probably get claimed by Vancouver. Yeah, more than likely.
Yeah,
More than
see,
likely.
I wouldn't want to lose Engvall. And my point wasn't that, the Leafs, like, do they have to include Kerfoot in terms of, like, value? For me, it's like and or money. To me, it's like, do you think the Leafs value Kerfoot enough to have him on this run, or do they just want to make it easier on them to make a deal happen, to just be like, okay, we'll trade Kerfoot and you have to retain this much salary? Like if they, let's say they retain 50% and then we also trade Kerfoot on top of that, so they get a player that's actually gonna be good for them next season, and a guy that's still has a couple more years, plus we're getting Taylor Hall, so we're actually saving money. Like, you're giving them additional assets, of course. Like, there's probably a high pick involved in there, plus like a B level prospect, and maybe like a bottom of the barrel type of prospect. Like, I'm just saying, would it make more sense to do that, and then the Leafs can go out and get a defenseman with that extra money that they're saving?
So my train of thought on this, and if you go back to the Seattle expansion draft, is that if they were to protect their four best forwards and the four defensemen that they have right now, Kerfoot is the guy that you're more than likely losing in this expansion draft. So if you're losing him in the expansion draft, why would you lose him for nothing? If you're going to lose him in the expansion draft, I would treat him the same way that I would treat a UFA. And if he's going to be a UFA or expendable, or the Leafs can't afford to keep him beyond this year, include him in a trade. But I don't think that you would include him in the Taylor Hall trade, because you just don't have to. I made a video on my channel talking about, because Kyle Dubas was at the Ottawa Senators Calgary Flames game the night before the Leafs played the Sens. And yeah, he could have just been there to watch the game for fun, but I don't think so. There's always a purpose to things that Dubas does, whether you like him or not. I think he was looking at players in that game. And if you look at the Ottawa Senators, they're a really bad team, but they have a couple of interesting names that are going to be UFAs at the end of this season. Guys like Mike Riley and Ryan Dzingel. If you went to the Ottawa Senators and you said, we will give you Kerfoot for Mike Riley and Ryan Dzingel, but you have to retain 50% on both those guys, the Leafs would be saving money in that deal, and the Ottawa Senators would be getting a guy who can play in their top nine, possibly playing center, that is signed to next season, the year after that, for only $2.7 million in real money. Does that not sound like a forward that the Ottawa Senators would want? That'd be a great get, I think, for those two assets. Because remember, Eugene Melnyk wants to be competitive by a certain year. He's said that before. He has a certain year in mind where they will spend right up to the salary cap. And it's just like, it would be irresponsible of them not to get something from Mike Riley and Ryan Dzingel. And I think that Ryan Dzingel is a very comparable forward to Alex Kerfoot. And Mike Riley is an upgrade on what the Toronto Maple Leafs have in their top six. He's an upgrade over Travis Dermott.
So you would think that that would be the trade that would make the most sense for Toronto. Like, is that like
it's an like, if you're trading Kerfoot, you need a center to replace him. You need a centerman to replace him. If you don't like Dzingel as a center, then you don't make that deal.
I personally don't.
You're not including Taylor. You're not including Kerfoot in the Taylor Hall trade, because then they don't have a third line center afterwards. Engvall is not that answer.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that you can acquire a third line centerman for the same price that Buffalo just gave for Eric Stahl. Like, you can still go out and get a centerman, because you would
acquire the right centerman though. The centerman that the Leafs want in that role. Like, Eric Stahl can't really skate very much anymore. Like, to have him forecheck and to have him play defense, I don't think that would be exactly ideal.
True.
Right? Like Kerfoot, like, you might not like him, but he forechecks, he back checks, he pitches in a little bit on offense. Maybe he's a little bit overpaid at $3.5 million, or overpaid on the Maple Leafs anyway, but he suits that role the best, I think, out of anyone who's available right now.
Oh,
so if you're going to include him in a deal, it has to be in a deal that you get an upgrade somewhere else and at least a comparable player.
Yeah, and the thing is I would like to keep Kerfoot. Like, I'm just saying, like, hypothetically, if there was a way for the Leafs to save a bit of money while also, getting a player of a high caliber. Because, like, listen, if people, like you've said before, if people are just looking at the base numbers of what Taylor Hall has been doing points wise, then you're missing a bigger conversation, because Taylor Hall is playing for the Buffalo Sabres. Okay. Playing with two elite players like probably Matthews and Marner might be what would happen. Like, how is Taylor Hall not going to put up points? Like, I don't see how that wouldn't happen.
You can't talk about Taylor Hall's season this year without understanding how bad the Buffalo Sabres are. So if you don't, if the only reason why you don't want Taylor Hall is because you're looking at his point totals. Don't look at the point totals, because the Sabres this year are worse than what the Sabres were when they were trying to lose on purpose for Connor McDavid.
Right.
They are worse. They are worse than when they traded away every single serviceable NHL player. They were allergic to NHL talent that season, and they did it on purpose because they wanted Connor McDavid. And this year, they're worse than that. So it's like, yeah, of course he's not putting up points.
Yeah.
And that's what I said in my video. Taylor Hall has a problem scoring goals and putting up points, but he does not have a problem generating scoring opportunities, which is what leads to goals.
Yeah.
It's just the Buffalo Sabres have no finishing talent on that team. They have no playmaking talent on that team. They can't string two passes together, and that's not necessarily his fault. It's a team game. It's a team game.
Yeah, like, and again, probably the name that keeps getting brought up, and I think that a lot of people keep going to Nashville because they want, like, hypothetically a big trade to happen to get both Ekholm and Granlund, which I think is possible. But in that type of trade, I actually do believe a Kerfoot would be involved in that one. And
100%.
Because
100%, because they can't make the money situation work.
The money would have to be like that. So if we were like, let's just go with hypotheticals here, right? Because everybody keeps talking about Ekholm, everybody keeps talking about Granlund. We might as well try to put together a fair trade with Nashville. Let's say hypothetically that this is the deal that Toronto wants to make, and you're getting two things that you need at the same time, right? It's just, I don't know if this is a deal that can possibly be made.
Well, let's do this through the cap friendly trade machine tool so we can see the money situation work out.
Okay, I've never done it in this one.
Interactive in trade machine.
Create trade proposal. Okay.
And we just select Team 1, Team 2, and Team 3.
Okay, so Team 1.
Team 1 would be the Leafs.
Okay, Toronto Maple Leafs. All right. That just stays there?
Well, we're talking about Ekholm in the sense here. It doesn't have to be Ekholm, right? We're talking about defensemen right now. So if it's not Ekholm, we can just move to the next guy here.
Right. Okay, so the second team is Nashville. Now.
So add Matthias Ekholm to this trade. If you just sort it by cap hit, you'll find him really quickly.
Okay, so
there you go. Now if you scroll down, you're gonna see the money implications.
Right, okay.
So the Maple Leafs are short $1.195 million in cap space to make this deal work. That's deadline cap space.
And it's saying that that's with 50% retained?
No. That is that option's grayed out right now. So if they were to retain 50%, but I don't think that they do because he's got another year left on his deal.
Okay. So, but when it comes to Granlund, it's probably going to have to be that.
Granlund, yeah.
So with Granlund,
you can add in 50% on Granlund.
So what, you just literally put 50%?
Yeah, 50, enter. So now they're short $1.8 million in deadline cap space.
Okay, so Kerfoot would effectively fix all of that. Correct?
Well, not all of it, but it would be some of it.
Cap hit. Oops.
That's sorted the other way.
Okay. There's still that right there. So But I mean, with this happening, then you're sending somebody down, are you not? Like, or is
You're
Dermott
sending
involved
someone.
in this trade?
You're sending someone down, obviously, because six defensemen. Matthias Ekholm's a defenseman, so you're replacing him.
Well,
Um, it's the money situation still wouldn't work.
would Dermott
It's
not be involved in this trade?
if he's involved in the trade, sure, but the money situation still wouldn't work because you have to, in order to figure out how much money you'd be saving. It's not just because you're seeing negative 621 there. Like if you to add Dermott in this trade, that number's not going to go down by 874, which is what Dermott makes. It's going to go down by like 200 grand at the most
That's
because it's
crazy.
all prorated.
Oh, okay, okay. Um, So this is how it gets interesting, eh?
I don't think they'd be able to afford this.
That's crazy, eh? Well, okay, but what happens if no, that still wouldn't work either. Damn, so how do you make this trade happen?
You can't. you can't. I don't see a way that the Maple Leafs could afford a trade like this with it making sense anyway.
Hmm. Wow. So you would literally like it would have to be kind of a one or the other type of thing. You
Well,
would
I mean, if you're acquiring Ekholm, or sorry, if you're acquiring like, what's the sense in acquiring Granlund and trading out Kerfoot?
Yeah, that's true. Oh
Because they
my.
they can definitely afford Ekholm.
So you just remove Granlund from this.
Yes.
So okay, so then on top of that the Leafs are definitely adding a first. Like there's no question. That's in this deal. And then it's probably what did they say, an elite prospect that they wanted?
Mm-hmm.
So I mean Amirov is probably the guy. I mean, like they can't give up anything else. To me, this plus like another like decent prospect is the most I would want to give up.
Yeah, it's the absolute most. And if they don't like that package, they don't like that package. And for me, the reasoning for adding Amirov in this trade and not Robertson, maybe I'm a little bit biased towards it. I just think Nick Robertson's better. That's just my take on it. But I'm not including Liljegren or Sandin in this deal because when you look at the Maple Leafs' decor, um, Jake Muslin's getting older. TJ Brody's getting older. Morgan Riley needs a new contract. Justin Hall's a little bit hot and cold. You know, they're going to need defensemen. They're going to need defensive prospects. They're not in a position to deal defensive prospects. Whether you think that they're a bust or not is irrelevant. They can't afford to trade guys like Sandin and Liljegren, or even a Nimella or a Kokinen. They can't afford to do it. They
Well,
cannot do it. They need as many lottery tickets in that draw as possible.
so then who is your other guy then if it's not Nemela?
That's
Because
that's the most. It's the first Kerfoot and Amirov. That's the absolute most. If they say no, they say no.
honestly, I don't know if this goes through. Like to be
Then it's not
honest,
then it's not an option. Then we just move on to the next guy. I mean, I'm not really a fan of adding Amirov in this deal. I'm not really a fan of doing that. I think that there's a better option than Matthias Ekholm out there. I think I'm not he is the best defenseman available, but in terms of fit, like what makes sense in what you're giving up and how much money they make, I think that there are better options out there.
hmm, very compelling argument because to me it's like if the Leafs if the Leafs have the opportunity to make this trade, to me like I like Amirov as well. Like I really wouldn't want to get rid of a really like good prospect like him either. But at
So hold
this
on, hold on, hold on, hold on. If we're giving up a first round pick in Amirov, remove Kerfoot. Just remove Kerfoot. Now retain 50% on Ekholm here. Retain 50% on him. Now add in a guy like Engvall. because you need something to make the money situation work. Or wait, hold on a second. Instead of adding in Engvall, like let's look at this from the perspective of another team here. So how much are the Leafs short right now? They would be
Five.
short.
They're short 500 grand.
They're short 500 grand. So the effective cap hit of Matthias Ekholm is 662 grand. If you get a third team involved there to retain another 50%, it would go down by about 330 grand.
Right.
So now we're what? We're 200K short. We're 200K short. If you were to send Dermott down, that's another 200K. They have the cap space to make this work. You want Rodion Amirov in a first round pick, you're retaining 50%. If they don't do it, they don't do it. You move on to the next option.
Yeah, they're not going to do it. This trade doesn't make sense.
Then it's not an option. That's the only way you do it, is if they retain 50%. And if they don't want to do it, Ekholm's not an option.
Yeah.
He's just not. He's just not. It doesn't matter whether you think this is lopsided value for the Leafs. If they don't do that, the Leafs don't do it. And that's okay. You both walk away knowing that you couldn't get a deal done. It's fine. You don't have to make a deal.
Yeah.
Right?
Somebody's comment says Ekholm is a long shot. Other teams have better prospects to offer. No, like
that's fine. That's fine.
They might.
But that's fine.
They might have better prospects to offer in terms of like they're willing to give them up, but I don't think the Leafs, like I wouldn't say the Leafs don't have the prospects to make this trade happen. Because like if Kyle Dubas picked up the phone and was like, we'll literally give you Robertson and Amirov and a second round pick, like Nashville's not saying no to that. Like, I'm sorry, there's absolutely no chance they'd say no. And I would, if that trade happened, I'd probably find Kyle Dubas myself and smack him in the face. Like, I'm not saying that that's going to happen. I'm just saying, like, the Leafs have the prospects to do that trade, but they don't want to give up on their lottery tickets, I guess.
All I'm saying from the Leafs' perspective, if they won't do this or if they won't retain 50%, it's not an option.
Right.
It just is what it is. Whether that's reasonable or not, if they don't do it, it's not an option. You hang up the phone and you move on to the next one.
I would honestly, I would think that we should probably look at a different player in terms of making a trade here. So you said that you want to get.
I really like Jamie Alexiak
on Dallas.
I really like it, and you're gonna be saying, well, why would the Dallas Stars trade away someone who is 6'7", 255 pounds, and from Toronto, Ontario? Why would they do that?
No idea.
Andrew, you're going to throw him into the trade here, and then we're going to go back to the standings, and then we're going to take a look at what's going on in Dallas right now, because they have a lot of injuries. Tyler Seguin's injured. Radulov is injured. Ben Bishop's injured. Anton Hudobin's not playing like he was in the playoffs. And it gets interesting when you look at the real money situation. And that's what I've been saying on my channel. You got to follow the money. You need to follow the money. And Dallas has almost as much money committed to next season as they do to this season. And from what we've heard about internal salary caps and the salary cap and teams losing money, that internal salary cap is not going up. Nope. It is not going up. They got $5 million. They got $5 million to sign Miro Heiskanen and like 6 other guys right now.
Yeah,
unless
screwed.
They make other trades.
They're screwed.
In real money, they got $5 million.
Yeah, they're gonna have to make some friggin' moves in the offseason, dude. They are screwed because that money's gonna be gone.
You don't want to give him to us now? We'll sign him in the offseason.
Yeah, exactly. And honestly,
with what money, you might ask? Trust me, the Leafs got money.
Yeah.
They got more money than any other team right now, aside from maybe the Rangers. You know, that's it. The only Leafs, team that might have just as much money or more.
Yeah, no, the Leafs always have money coming in. It's crazy. They're always okay. And I'm sure having the NHL utilize them as a hub city as well for the bubble, they probably made a lot of money off of that. I don't think a lot of people would think that, but I actually think they probably made a pretty penny because They were like, hey, listen, you're gonna use our spot. Well, I mean, hey, we're gonna be making money off of this somehow. So show me the money.
Andrew, pull up the Dallas Stars cap friendly page. We're going to take a look at the real money situation and what's going on over there. Even if they do find another $5 million, even if they had $10 million to work with in their budget, they have Miro Heiskanen and 6 other guys to sign.
Yeah.
Unless that Miro Heiskanen contract structure is really favorable over the next couple of seasons, they do not have the money to keep Jamie Alexiak, and they are not making the playoffs this year. They are not making the playoffs this year.
Yeah, look at this. Look at their money right now.
Look at the money. You think with the Oilers losing $80 million that Dallas is somehow going to find more money to spend? I mean, they might be able to pony up a couple more $1 million just to ice a team next year and to sign Heiskanen. But you're not going to be able to afford Alexiak. What? He's going to want $3-4 million just by himself. How do they not trade this guy? How do they not trade this guy? They're not making the playoffs. Tyler Seguin injured, Radulov injured, Ben Bishop injured, Hudobin not playing the way that he was in the playoffs. They're not making the playoffs.
I would definitely agree with that. I mean, this is the thing, and what a lot of people need to understand is that on face value, teams might not go out and say this stuff that we're talking about right now about money things and whatever. Like there'll be a couple teams that are just brutally honest with their fans, but a lot of teams are not going to go out of their way to be like, hey, listen, guys, we're kind of broke, so this is what's going to happen to the team. We're just stating what's probably the obvious at this point.
Andrew, there's 205 people watching right now, and there's only 73 likes on the stream here. I think I'm being a little bit more aggressive than you are, but if we can get those likes up, I think I'm going to be a little bit more aggressive here, because if the Dallas Stars are not asking themselves these questions, if the Nashville Predators are not asking themselves these questions, if the Columbus Blue Jackets are not asking themselves these questions, they're delusional. They're delusional, especially the Dallas Stars. They're delusional. They're delusional if they hold on to a guy like Jamie Alexiak. They're not going to be able to afford to keep him.
Right.
They're not making the playoffs this year either. They're not making the playoffs this year. They're delusional.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. They just don't have the money to make it happen. Like Heiskanen's contract is going to be big. I mean,
Andrew, we had to sit through it for what, a year and a half? How much is Nylander going to make? How much is Marner going to make? Matthews?
Oh, yeah.
How much is Heiskanen going to make? Bro, I'm hyped to have this conversation.
Yeah, Heiskanen.
So hyped to have it. How much is it? 6, 7, 8, 9, 10? Come on. Come on.
Hey, listen.
We have to sit through so much crap.
Jason Dickinson is a pretty serviceable player. I went to the same high school as him. He's going to make a little bit of cash. They've got some guys that they need to sign here, that they need to hold on to. And they're not going to be able to sign Heiskanen and Alexiak on this blue line. They don't have the money to keep both these guys. So
even if they did, John Klingberg needs a contract the season after that. They're going to find the money to do that.
They need to make moves, man. They need to make moves.
It's done. It's done in Dallas. That's what the D in Dallas stands for. Done.
Done.
This
guy
Dunzo.
he's on his he's on his ish today. So let's just look at Alexiak real quick here. So obviously this is contract right now, 2.1 million smackaroos.
Hold on, Andrew, scroll up. 6'7", 255 pounds from Toronto. Say no more, man. Get him in the lineup.
Oh,
Get
boy.
him in the lineup.
Don't be one of these guys that looks at the height and weight of a player and goes,
no, he's also a great defenseman.
He's good. Because Mike Babcock would see this and go, don't show me anything else. Make the trade. But yeah, 2.1 million. I mean, we're going to just take a look at his numbers real quick. This guy's not here to be an offensive dynamo, okay?
No, he kills penalties too.
We need him to kill penalties. We need him to hit people. And we need him to play defense. Good old-fashioned blue line. We need him to play the blue line defense, okay? So let's look over to the trade machine here. What in your expertise, okay, because you've done a little bit more work on Alexiak, I kind of have an idea of what it would take. Like a first-round pick is not involved in this trade.
A second prospect.
Like maybe
you include the first if they retain 50%. Like
Now,
I'm not even.
yes. Now, see, if it was a 50% retained, that changes the game here. But do you?
But then it's just the first round pick.
Yeah, it could just be the first, honestly. But I don't know. I feel like you don't have to give up a first in this trade, even with the 50% retained. Like I feel like the Leafs can offer. Okay, would you be okay with a second round pick? And like I'm not saying Hallander is the guy, but like
Okay.
are you okay in that tier of prospect?
No,
You
this
think that
guy's a
that's too
rental.
much?
No, he's a rental. He's a rental. First round
But
pick, retain 50%.
oh,
Done.
yeah, but then that do you think that just takes the Leafs out of the trade market after that?
What more do you need?
Dude, I still think they're looking for another forward.
Call up Nick Robertson. You'll find the Maple Leafs will find the forward that they're looking for if they call up Nick Robertson. He's
Now,
injured right now. He's just coming back from injury. They will find the forward that they're looking for if they call up Nick Robertson. That guy dogs it on every single shift. He played on the penalty kill in Peterborough. He's got one hell of a shot.
yeah, that shot is insane.
If you're gonna remember anything about him, remember the 18-year-old kid in the bubble last year tapping his stick on the ice like a madman, asking for a pass from Alex Kerfoot. That guy's hungry.
Oh, dude, I want him to play so bad. You have no idea. I want Nick Robertson to play so bad. Like that kid shot that. Do you remember that clapper that he put in past Aaron Dell in like the blue and white game? Ting! That thing was a thing of beauty. Oh man, honestly, I'm liking the way that you know what I like the way you think here. You know what I mean? So, are we able to make this trade though in the actual like because I want to be able to look at the roster.
As long as we see the money situation works, we can just go back in and add him. Go back in and add him as long as the people understand that the cap space in the corner there is not the correct number. So they're retaining 50%. That gets you okay. So 248 grand. You send down Dermott, covers it, right? Because this is if you were to make the trade today.
Yeah.
If you make the trade tomorrow, that goes down. If you make the trade the next day, that goes down even more, right? So if they make the trade a week or two from now, they can afford that.
Okay, but
they can afford it.
Would you be opposed to putting Dermott in this trade?
I mean, if they want him, I don't think that the Leafs.
I wouldn't want to.
I love Travis Dermott.
Me too.
He loves playing for the Toronto Maple Leafs. I love that he loves playing for the Toronto Maple Leafs, but there is no likability per 60. There is no likability per 60.
Yep.
I'm sorry. There isn't. He has regressed every single year that he's been here. They had an opportunity to trade him in the summer or in the fall. They said no because his last year was decent. He was a good third pairing defenseman last year. Every opportunity that they've given him to play outside of the top six, to play in the top four, he's flubbed it.
Yeah.
The raw tools are there. I don't think he puts it together here in Toronto. I don't think that he's on the team next year.
Okay. I agree with you. I agree with you.
Not on the team next year. If Rasmus Sandin Mikko Lehtinen almost took his spot coming out of the KHL this year, almost took Travis Dermott's job, and that guy got traded away. That's all you need to know about Travis Dermott this year. He's not even killing penalties. Not even killing penalties this year. So that tells you how much the Maple Leafs are invested in his development right now. He's not even killing penalties.
Right. Just a quick note. Aaron Ekblad just got taken off the ice on a stretcher. Got tangled up with Esa Lindell. So it seems like there's a lot of injuries tonight. So
hopefully he's okay.
Hopefully he's all right.
He has a long history with concussions. Hopefully it has nothing to do with his head. He's an awesome player.
Yeah, they're saying it's a leg injury. So
it's a leg injury, okay.
All right, so just for hypothetical, let's go in with the armchair GM feature, because let's look at the team if we're trading for Alexiak and we're going to call up Nick Robertson and look at the team that way. Okay, so let's just make the trade real quick with Dallas.
And the thing is that when you're getting a guy if you're getting an upgrade on Travis Dermott, I don't just want a little bit of an upgrade. I want a sizable enough upgrade so that if TJ Brody or Jake Muzzin were to get hurt, you can move Jamie Alexiak up into the lineup and he can play in your top four in a pinch. In a pinch. And you wouldn't lose that much.
Right.
You wouldn't lose that much. That's the whole idea behind this. Because Jake Muzzin went down in the playoffs last year. What happened to the Leafs? We had to call up Martin Marincin, and they were done. They were done the second that Pierre-Luc Dubois cross-checked him in the back. They were done. They were done. Game 4 was fun, but they were done.
Okay, what's half of 2,137,000? Because you have to put in the exact number.
Oh, it doesn't matter. Just add them to the roster here. We're just looking at the lines. We already showed that the money situation works.
Okay, so so what, you have him on Dermott on the taxi squad?
I don't know. He's more than likely going to get claimed if you put him on waivers, but at this point, does it really matter? He's Guy. The guy who walked in from Russia almost took his job.
Yeah.
He is Guy. You can call up Sandin and have him do just as bad a job.
Wow.
Sorry if that's harsh.
This guy is on fire.
I stuck my neck out for Travis Dermott, and he's done nothing this season but disappoint me.
Okay, so
he's just the definition of a mediocre third pair defenseman right now.
Oh my God, why is this stupid thing
He's
doing
the definition of a mediocre third pair defenseman right now. Playing against in a very, very limited. He's produced decent defensive metrics in a very, very limited role. Very, very sheltered.
Yeah.
I'm talking he plays lots of offensive zone starts and against the other teams like third and fourth line. I'm just not impressed.
Right. I do not blame you. Why is this website always do this?
Oh, it won't let you.
Just the way that the interface works here is just so annoying.
And by the way, while we have it up on the screen, Alex Galchenyuk. Oh my God! Someone on Twitter, I think it was Noah. I think his name was Noah. Said it perfectly. It's like the Leafs unplugged him and plugged him back in, and he just started working again.
Yeah.
Like Alex Galchenyuk, if you can't appreciate what he's doing right now in the Toronto Maple Leafs, you don't like hockey. This is a guy who is on like his fourth or fifth team in the last 5 years, and this is a guy that's totally reinvented his game. We've seen him forecheck. We've seen him block shots. And it's like, what? Alex Galchenyuk is forechecking and blocking shots? That is not the player that Montreal Canadiens fans would remember. That is not the player who got traded straight up for Max Domi. That is not the guy who got traded to Pittsburgh and then ended up on Minnesota and then went to Ottawa and then Carolina and then to the Leafs now. Not the same player. Not the same. Love him. Absolutely love him. And if you're wondering how he fits in on this team, his advanced analytics and stuff like that, he fits in somewhere between Wayne Simmons and Ilya Mikheyev. Very comparable to about them.
Yeah, I like the way he's played. But let's just say you call up Nick Robertson. Who comes out of the lineup? Like, that's where this becomes difficult.
Pierre Engvall.
Really? Because I think he's played pretty good.
Pierre Engvall's the king of nothing, and he's not even playing on the penalty kill this season.
Dude.
I think he's fourth. Seriously, I think he's sixth in terms of time on ice per game for the penalty kill. They're not using him in the role that he's meant to play in, which means that tells you all you need to know about Pierre Engvall's season right now. He's the king of nothing. Nothing happens when he's on the ice. Nothing good. Nothing good and nothing bad happens when he's on the ice. And maybe you can look at that and view it as a net positive, but it's a waste of ice time. It's a waste of a roster spot for someone who can give you a net positive, right? He's zero all across the boards.
Man, I disagree with you because it changes the dynamic of what that third line looks like. Because
what is the third line right now?
It's Engvall, Mikheyev, Hyman, and that's like their line where they toss.
Where's Kerfoot playing?
Well, Kerfoot would probably end up being on the fourth line.
Engvall
Because,
is
dude,
just.
has Kerfoot not looked good with Thornton and Spezza? To me, he has.
Derek. I'm turning on the guys that I stuck my neck out for over the course of the offseason. Travis Dermott, Pierre Engvall. I said at the beginning of the season, mark my words that Pierre Engvall will be in the lineup for the majority of the games this season, even when he was not on the team, when he didn't make the team out of training camp. And he has played a lot of the games this year. He's looked okay. He's looked okay. He's a bottom six player. But who would you rather have? Who would you rather have? Nick Robertson or Pierre Engvall on the lineup? We know what we're getting with Pierre Engvall. There's no surprises. He's the king of nothing.
So
King of nothing. He's looked okay, but for me, as soon as he crosses over the offensive blue line, he dies. He forgets what he's doing.
okay, so what the hell?
He scored a goal yesterday. It doesn't matter to me. That was an accident.
Oh my God, why? Okay, so you're my fave Uptown Stacy Green. That is actually my mom who just commented that. I have no idea why she just said that. I have no idea what that means. Okay. Because Stephen Brown, I guess Stacy Green, different color. Okay, sure, Mom. Oh, thanks for the comment. Um, they're laughing downstairs. I can literally hear them. That is
This is Abby that put her up to this.
yeah,
Definitely.
it definitely is. Anyways, so is this how you put the lineup? Like, is this
Engvall does more than Jumbo? No. No. Jumbo may not have very good games sometimes, but he's got a much higher ceiling than Pierre Engvall. Jumbo has the potential to score a couple of points. Pierre Engvall does it by accident sometimes.
bro? This man is just hating Engvall today.
No way. Jumbo in the right opportunity. That's a guy. Jason Spezza has off games, but when Jason Spezza's on, he is on.
Yeah,
Holy
no.
crap! Do you know how amped I was when he put that slap shot in the other day?
Yeah,
Like
that
he
was.
still got it.
Yeah,
Still
he
got
does.
it. And Joe might go through his funks and stuff like that, but he still has the opportunity to give you a good game every once in a while. Joe Thornton has the talent to still make an impact on a game. Pierre Engvall, the king of nothing.
Yeah, big time. Okay, what are you doing in here? This is a serious stream right now.
It wasn't me who decided to comment that either.
Oh, he had to walk all the way upstairs to say that.
Yeah. He said you had to walk up the stairs just to say that. Anyways, do you keep Wayne Simmons on the top line, or do you think they give Robertson a chance?
Okay, look, I love Wayne Simmons and I love Jumbo, but they both can't be on the top line and on the top power play. Sorry, Wayne Simmons to me, I love him on the power play. I love him in a sheltered role offensively, but take him off the first line.
So
I'm sorry.
that's what I'm thinking. Why not give Robertson that opportunity?
I think you got to throw Joe in that spot. You got to throw Joe in that spot. Joe gets all the offensive shifts on the first line, and the defensive
Really?
shifts on the first line. That's where Zach Hyman comes in. When the first line is forced to play a defensive zone shift, Zach Hyman gets added to that line. When they're playing in the offensive zone, I want Joe Thornton on the ice.
So you want the lines looking like
They change, right? They don't stay the same like this all game long. Yeah, you got to put that second line together. You got to put
you want Robertson.
Robertson on that. That's deadly. He could be really sneaky on that fourth line.
Okay, Abby, relax. So you want Robertson on the fourth line?
He gets, if Jumbo's not feeling it one night offensively, because it's a matter of managing Jumbo, right? I'm not saying he's just to stay there all the time,
Right.
right? He doesn't have to stay there. If he's not having a good game, you can put Robertson up there. If he's not having a good game, you could throw Simmons up there. If he's not having a good game, you could put Hyman up there. But if Joe's feeling it, yeah, give him all those minutes. Give him all those minutes if he's feeling it.
Yeah, see,
Hyman doesn't. Okay, this is something that I think a lot of people don't understand. I'm sorry to cut you off, Andrew. I know
That's okay.
This is your stream. Zach Hyman not playing in the top 6 is not a slight against Zach Hyman. That line, that third line, they play all the defensive zone shifts in the world. And when they play all the defensive zone shifts in the world, that means that those top 2 lines don't have to play in the defensive zone.
Yeah.
Right? Which one? It's the exact same thing. Whether he's on that line or not, he's taking away defensive responsibility from those players.
True. Just briefly in here, no, I do not want the Jonathan Quick trade to happen. I don't think that's necessarily a good option. Now, I think a lot of people are thinking the same thing, and it's kind of what you were touching on. When you're in, like, the Leafs obviously have to make it through the Canadian division first, and we've seen time and time again that the Leafs, and even last night, they were going to the shutdown line, technically, or the defensive line of, Hyman, Mikheyev, Engvall, right? So let's just say that third line there is Hyman, Kerfoot, Mikheyev, like permanently for the playoffs. That's the line that's going to go after these teams' best lines most of the time, in my opinion. When the Leafs have an opportunity to shelter their stars and let them play against lesser competition, they're going to do it. So
Joe Thornton, by the way, is 6th in Maple Leaf forwards in terms of average game score. And game score is just regular. It's if you watch basketball or the NBA, you'll know what game score is. It's taken from there. But game score is just regular box score stats. Like, it's not any like advanced analytics or anything like that. It's just straight from the box. It's just straight from the regular box score stats. He's 6th in terms of average game score.
Right. Yo, sup G, Aliana. Anyways, there's lots of people that I know personally in this stream. But yo, people are saying, why are you in love with Kerfoot so much? Is that for you or for me? We both love Kerfoot.
Who else is gonna play third center? Engvall can't do it on a full-time basis. I'm sorry, I don't trust him that much.
I don't think people like Kerfoot because he was involved in the Kadri trade.
Oh my God, let's not even go there. We're talking about right now.
Take it from me. Hello, look at me for a second. I was the biggest Nazem Kadri fan on the planet. But I'm not going to hate Kerfoot because I don't like that. Hypothetically, I didn't like that trade. And by the way Tyson Barrie is playing for the Oilers is exactly what Babcock didn't let him do in Toronto. So blame that one on big old Mikey boy that screwed over that Tyson Barrie trade. But anyway.
I mean, okay, fine. If you really don't want to take Kerfoot out of the lineup here, then just don't call up Robertson.
No, but I think Robertson is too good to not be on this team. I honestly believe he's too good. Bro, the way he played against Columbus, did people not watch those games? Like, he was good. Like, I honestly thought he belonged. I was like, this guy's a lock for this team.
PG, you didn't listen to a single thing that I said about Joe Thornton. He's not on the first line. He's taking the offensive zone shifts with the first line. Those are two completely different things. He's still a good player in the offensive zone.
Yeah, and guys, the whole point, and this is something that I've explained in my other videos, the Leafs making a trade, and this is something that I've even had to eat my own words on. Even earlier in this stream, I was saying we could trade Kerfoot for extra money, but it's not that, like, you're not getting that same, like, comfortability. Like, you need to have Kerfoot in the lineup. You need that depth. So if you make a trade, like, let's say the Leafs make a trade for a forward, right? The whole point is to add to this roster. And if you have to involve a third team, if you have to retain salary, you have to add. You can't subtract a good player and expect this new guy to come in and, fill in for that player, and then on top of that, send you up even further. Like, if that's the case, you have to trade for a damn good player, which would make it way more complicated. That's why when people were saying, oh, trade Nylander, we can get Forsberg, it's like, how much better is Forsberg? Is Forsberg going to take over how good Nylander is and then another boost? Like, no, that's not going to happen. You need the depth. You need all these different players. So I don't want to subtract from the roster to I don't know. I just don't want to subtract from this roster. If you can add internally by bringing up Nick Robertson, makes the most sense, while also being able to get a guy like Alexiak, which we already said the money makes sense. Now, here's the other thing that isn't really being talked about, and I actually kind of need your input on this. So, if the Leafs put Freddie Anderson on long-term injured reserve and treated him the same way as Tampa is doing with Kucherov, would that not free up money?
Yeah, it would. Like, if you want to know exactly how much money it would free up, the season is 116 days long, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the season's 116 days long this year. So you would take $5 million divided by 116, and that gives you how much money Freddie Anderson costs on the daily during the regular season. And then you would take the amount of days that are left in the season when you moved him onto LTIR, and you would multiply how many days are left by his daily cap hit, and that would give you how much money that would free up
Right.
in space for the Maple Leafs to use. But the thing with LTIR is that if you don't use it instantly, it works the opposite as regular cap space, where if you have cap space and you don't use it, it becomes a greater asset for you as the season goes on. If you have LTIR money that you're not using, it becomes less every day that you don't use it, which is why the Maple Leafs haven't really done anything with Frederik Andersen right now. Like, if you looked at the armchair GM for them in stock, or if you look at their regular cap friendly page, he's still listed under goalies right now. And Michael Hutchison has been recalled on an emergency basis because this year in COVID NHL, you're allowed to carry 3 goalies on the roster. They will allow you, and Michael Hutchison right now is counting for $0 against the cap because you're allowed to have 3 goalies on the roster this year if it's under an emergency basis.
So them putting Freddie on LTIR right now wouldn't make sense.
They won't make a decision on Frederik Andersen until the last possible second that they have to. So if he decides that he can come back before the end of the regular season,
then they're not doing it.
Then they're not doing that, of course. But if they decide that his injury is severe enough that he's going to miss the rest of the regular season, they can place him on long-term injured reserve, and they would have that cap space to go out there and add. And if that's the case, if they have access to that cap space, you can add whoever the hell you want. That Matthias Ekholm and Granlund deal becomes feasible at that point.
Well, yeah,
That's
because
how much cap space that would free up.
So hypothetically, it's $5 million.
Yeah, basically.
Like the money you can bring in.
That's a really simple way of looking at it, but basically, yeah. Basically, yes.
Because I mean,
but also no, it's not.
Yeah,
it's not exact.
Yeah, because of the pro rating and everything like that.
Yeah.
But like, okay, so for the chat to understand this, yes, if they put, like, I'm sure you guys were all just listening to that, but like basically that, like what he was just saying is like that trade, you can make those trades. Like if Freddie is actually going to be out until the playoffs.
Well, if they placed him on long-term injured reserve on trade deadline day, so there's 27 days left from the trade deadline until the end of the regular season, so you'd multiply 43,103, which is his daily cap hit, and you figure that out by dividing $5 million by how many days there are in the regular season, which is 116. So you'd multiply that $43,000 number by 27, because that's how many days are left, and that's $1.163 million in deadline cap space that they can add. So if you're looking at other players to acquire, like we saw Matthias Ekholm, 375,000 divided by 116 times 27 as well. would cost you 872 grand. If they retained half of it, he would only cost you 436 grand, and the same for Mikael Granlund.
Yes, and
So
hold on,
if
just before you keep going, there's some people who are confused. No, Freddie would come back in the playoffs.
yeah,
He wouldn't be done for the
he
year.
would be available to come back in the playoffs because the salary cap doesn't exist in the playoffs. That's what Kucherov and the Lightning are doing right now. He's going to come back round 1, game 1, and the Tampa Bay Lightning are going to have $9.5 million more on the ice than anyone else.
Yeah. So the Leafs they'll still have Freddie and Campbell in the net for the playoffs. Like,
No, PG, I've already explained it.
magically he will like he'll just be ready for the playoffs even if he was ready like 2 weeks before the season, which is definitely happening with Kucherov. But
No, and exactly, Joe R. You're insane if you think we are getting a cheap star experience goaltender right now. You wouldn't. If they determine that Frederik Andersen is going to be out for the rest of the season and they do this as an option, some of the money would need to be spent on a goalie. So some people have looked at like Big Save Dave in Calgary. Like, can they get him? He's not very good. But he's at least better than what Andersen was when Andersen was playing injured.
yep.
Right? And you just need someone to tie you over until the end of the regular season. You need someone who could play like 5 or 6 games at the most.
In Buffalo.
You need someone that could play 5 or 6 games at the most.
Yeah, but
That's all you need.
If you acquire Bernier, I think that they would want, like, Bernier would probably have to start a lot more than 5 times. Like Ullmark, I think would be the guy that you go after.
Sure, or a guy like Kemper from Arizona. That's a little bit more costly. But
That
if you're
trade's
looking
not
at
happening.
no, probably not.
Because
If
he's
you're
injured.
Oh, sorry. Did I say Kemper? I meant Ronta. Sorry.
Yeah, Ronta, but see, that's the
Ronta,
same
sorry.
thing though, because Arizona's in the hunt too, and if they don't have a goalie, then they're just completely tanking. Like I don't know if that.
They have Aiden Hill as well. So I don't know. I have no idea. Like, if you flip them, Michael, like the argument that I was making when acquiring another goalie is, why should the Arizona Coyotes care who they have in net for the rest of the season?
I guess they shouldn't.
Right? Like, give them Michael Hutchison and whatever it is to get Antti Ranta. Why do they care? They're not making the playoffs anyway. Antti Ranta's just costing them more money.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you could get a goalie, a forward, and a defenseman, depending on who you acquire.
Saros from Nashville as well. We talked about him in my stream that I did last week. But again, if Nashville is not open to trading guys, they're not open to trading guys.
Well, see, Big Dream, Big Shot is mentioning now, well, do you go back to Buffalo with Taylor Hall? If this scenario happens, do you try to get Hall and Ullmark in the same deal?
That is something where, so like they've said that the starting price for Taylor Hall is a 1st-round pick, and it'll more than likely come down as teams realize that we can't. No one can afford Taylor Hall. Once the Buffalo Sabres realize that there's only like 6 teams that are going to be buyers at this year's deadline, that price tag will come down from a 1st-round pick. But I would be okay with adding the 1st-round pick if they're going to give us other pieces, right? Like maybe you get an Ullmark.
Yeah.
If you include the 1st-round pick and like a C-level prospect, maybe you get Hall and Ullmark.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. Like if you give the 1st-round pick, I want something else, right? And what use do they have for a goalie who's going to be a UFA at the end of this year? They have that Uko Pekka. I'm sorry, UPL.
Yeah.
They got that guy.
Arizona ain't making it. The 4 teams above them ain't dropping out. Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. You have to remember, guys, we can have an opinion, but we kind of have to like look at it from like their perspective as well. Like, there's teams that probably know that they're not in the situation to move up. Like, they probably in their heart of hearts know that they're not going to make the playoffs. But if an owner or whatever is telling them you need to go for it, they can't just tank. Like, if an owner is telling you this is what you need to do this year or somebody's losing their job, guess what? You have to try. Like, you can't just give up. Like there, you have to remember, there's a very big internal discussion that happens with these teams that none of us will ever know unless it gets leaked out somehow. So, and sometimes owners know nothing about hockey or know nothing about the business side of it. They have tons of money and that's what they've invested in. So that happens a lot. It happens in basketball quite a bit, but it does happen in hockey. Like it's there. So you have to look at it that way as well. I don't know. Okay, we've been live for an hour and a half. I didn't even realize that.
It's been fun. It's been fun.
It's been very good. Maybe we'll go for a few 10 more minutes or 10, 15 minutes or something like that.
And Joe, yeah, you more than likely are okay with Hutchison just to play 5 or 6 games because, like I said it in my video as well, the Maple Leafs are making the playoffs in the Canadian division. Like they don't have to worry about like how bad can Hutch be?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm afraid to ask that question, but how bad can he possibly be?
Buddy,
Right, in
I
5
really,
or 6 games.
like he looked good before the 2 quick goals in that one game. But I don't know.
Before we start ramping things down here, there's 226 people watching, 105 likes right now. Guys, we've been live for almost an hour and a half right now. Whether you agreed with us or not, this is something to do on a Sunday night, right? We're all having fun. No one's saying anything bad, right? This is just hockey talk.
Big time. Just hockey talk. Can you guys do this tag team stream the night before the deadline if the Leafs don't do anything? I mean, I'm sure that we're going to have more opportunities as the days go on. Like we've talked about doing a lot more than just live streams and stuff like that. So don't worry, there'll be content between the two of us. We've done it before. We'll continue to do it probably on both channels. Like we don't want to just do it on one channel. So if you guys like, I'm pretty sure we have a pretty like similar audience. So, but if not, make sure to go subscribe to Downtown Sports right now on YouTube. Like if you're not subscribed to him, I'm sure most of you are, but let's make all of the people in here, if you're not subscribed, go subscribe to him. If you can't find his channel, just type in Downtown Sports or go on my channel because it should be on like the recommended channels list. And it also, guys, you have to remember, we can't promise a stream on like deadline day or like the day before, because if the Leafs make a trade tomorrow and they're like, yeah, we're done because we've made all the deals we need to make, then there's no point really of us doing that. But we'll don't worry, we'll keep you guys updated. I'm sure DTSB agrees with me, but we'll keep you guys updated.
Yeah, of course. Andrew, where's the we passed 9,000 subscribers video?
Oh,
like you hit that milestone in here, right? Guys, come on, 9,000 subscribers. You got to send some likes. You got to send some likes Andrew's way. 9,000 subscribers is a huge milestone. If you're in the stream right now and you haven't watched it, you can yell at me. Andrew's not asking for these likes. I'm asking for these likes right now for Andrew. 9,000 subscribers is a big deal.
Appreciate that.
I can only hope to one day get there.
Yeah, appreciate it. Don't worry, you're gonna get there probably in like 2 weeks with the amount of views that you've been getting, man. I hope so.
It's okay, man. It's just more people that are calling me stupid.
Hey, man, welcome to the club,
I'm okay
buddy.
With it either
welcome
way.
To the club. But yeah, no, guys, and somebody said we need a podcast, buddy. We've had a podcast a couple times. And I think that that's something that we'll probably work towards, but I can't speak.
It's hard.
I can't speak for this guy.
It's really hard to fit in with the time.
Yeah, he's been busy with school stuff, and you know, I'm working a lot lately. So, yeah, I appreciate all the people saying congrats and stuff like that. Yeah, we're definitely on the road to 10K now, which will be a lot of fun if that happens. But yeah, no, we're going to do a lot more content on both channels, so be on the lookout for that. I mean, this stream definitely was really good, though, I would say. Yeah, I don't know. This has been good. And again, guys, this is not, like, we're not saying this is the team, because in the next few days there could be a rumor that comes out and we go, oh, that makes sense, and then none of this is the same. You know what I mean? Like, every single day it could change.
like it doesn't specifically have to be one player or another, just a similar player to that player, if that makes sense. Like it doesn't necessarily have to be Jamie Alexiak. It just can be any defenseman really that the Maple Leafs can plug into the lineup that will play on their third pair, but you could move up into the lineup. That's who I would be seriously going after.
Right. Yeah, because it could literally be anybody, especially if the Leafs if the Leafs do end up putting Freddie Anderson on LTIR and he's not coming back until the first round of the playoffs, then that changes the Leafs their view of how things are gonna go.
Uber's amount of money.
Uber's
amount of money.
It changes the entire game because then the Leafs are serious buyers. They're serious buyers if that happens. Then it becomes okay, now the Leafs have to go all in because you have that opportunity to spend that extra money. So very, very interesting thing to look at. It's something that I wanna do a video on for sure. I've talked about it briefly, but like more in depth. But I think we're gonna wrap this up. I don't know if you have anything else to say, but go subscribe to Downtown Sports right now. If you're new here, I mean, if you're just watching this stream for the first time, make sure to subscribe here. I didn't say that the whole time because we need to get DTSB some more subscribers. But subscribe to both of us. I'd appreciate that. Be on the lookout for more content from the both of us. More streams, maybe a podcast if we have a chance. But definitely.
John Cole, I got the idea from you. So props to you, man.
Oh, yeah. Oh, really? John
he hit me up on Twitter and he's like, "Bro, look at this player." And I looked at it and I'm like, "I love this situation. Everything fits."
John Cole. Hey man, that's a great observation from yourself, man. That's awesome. Yeah, no, I wasn't even thinking Alexiak until I watched the video that DTSB made, and I was like, whoa, okay, now we're talking. This makes a lot of sense. So, yeah, because you know what? That's the thing is like everybody's going to have a different guy that they look at, and one of us is going to be right. So, who knows?
None of us. That's always
or none of us.
Just looks stupid.
I mean, listen, we totally called the Tyson Berry trade, though. We got to give ourselves credit for that one.
We totally did.
We nailed that trade, except for the Kerfoot part, but still. Okay, guys. Yeah, hopefully when I click end stream, it actually works. I don't know how this stupid thing works. If I click end stream, will it end in OBS as well?
I believe so.
If not, you guys are going to see me acting real weird in here. But thank you guys again. Thank you so much. I'll just leave this, maybe I'll upload it. I'll upload it for you guys to watch. I'm going to put 75 ads in the... No, I'm just kidding. But... oh, God. Guys, come on. I'm just joking. There will be ads, though. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching. Again, make sure to go subscribe to DTSB. And any last little words?
I think I've expelled enough hot air over the course of this stream.
Yeah,
right? just rattling things off. But no, yeah, just like what Andrew said, we always appreciate the viewers and people that come out and stuff like that because we enjoy talking hockey just as much as you do. I mean, and when you come out, we get the opportunity to do that.
Big time. You know what would be really cool as the last remark here? I know a lot of people, a lot of people in here are in the Toronto or surrounding areas. It would be so cool once COVID and everything is it probably wouldn't be till next year, but having almost a little meetup event with a ton of a watch party where you guys come out and we just talk hockey.
Even at a Marlies game. Marlies games are not too expensive and they're always a ton of fun and stuff like that. If you've never been to a Toronto Marlies game before and you live in the GTA, when they come back, go to a Toronto Marlies game.
Yeah, big time.
You spend $40-$50, sit 2 or 3 feet from the glass, and just enjoy the game.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Thank you guys again. And we'll see you guys in the next video or stream between us or individually, whatever. But thanks again, and peace out. Okay, I don't know.